Hey guys, I'm going to get into one of my all-time favorite films, The Big Lebowski. And you know what? Yeah, this film 100% holds up as a perfect masterpiece because it's a perfect comedy. And what makes it so perfect is that it's perfectly surreal and it's just uniquely wonderful outlook on life. I think that this is a comedy that's out to satirize just how much just hey, we're all making a big deal out of a big nothing basically. So this film's just out to kind of just chill you out and just make you feel good. It's very much perhaps the best feel-good film ever made because it's just one giant parody of humanity, literally, and it's done in such a masterful way through all of the characters. And I think what grabbed me the most about my latest viewing of it is there's so many moments where the dude should just like the situations as they unfold, like they're so chaotic and weird that like, and the way they unfold, it feels like he should be like the lame-o in a situation, but somehow everything he says and does is so cool and charming that he's never a loser in this movie, really. Like, and I've heard some people debate, like, okay, like, yeah, the guy could stand and have a job, sure, yeah, I know there's like a limit there that lives here, but overall, it's like his outlook on life is completely rosy because in the end of the day, he's going to bed happy at night. He's perfectly fulfilled with his life, and that's in the end of the day what it's meant to be for everybody. And you see kind of this, he's kind of floating in his life, but at the same time, yeah, he's an artist type, so he's literally always taking in art around him and consuming, which comes to the question of release and time for a person. The film is like mythical in how much there is no pressure. Really, all the pressure is in everyone else around the dude, but the dude never feels pressure. He's always very composed and relaxed in every given situation. And yeah, it's extremely entertaining the whole way through. It gets better with age, literally, because there's just all these bizarre, strange situations that literally it's just like the dude and his buddies get into. Literally, like Walter, he's very over the top and chaotic. It's like their bond is just perfect. Donnie, like he's just a psychic. They all just kind of float together. It's like brothers, It's amazing. I don't know. This just has the perfect expression of just brotherly friendship and just having a great time. Never ever take itself too seriously. Never, and that's the thing. Like, I feel like I heard someone say Dumb and Dumber. Every single line of dialogue is perfect. And I'm like, I so disagree with that now. Because honestly, I like that one quite a bit growing up, but now I realize, that feels like a dated end to me. And I feel like I have some awkward memories of it. So now I think The Big Lebowski deserves that. 100%. Just every line is perfect in this film. Every bit of line is hilarious. And it was extremely well thought out by the Coen brothers, too. I mean, this is like a follow-up to Fargo, so I think they were already kind of spoofing humanity quite a bit in Fargo, because they were like modern Kubricks in the way they were pretty dark. But I think here they just got to the essence of where it all has to lighten up. And The Big Lebowski is one giant statement, philosophical statement on just lightening up, literally. Just like, dude, why? And and that's why after my latest movie, I'm like, yeah, this film's gonna live in my heart big time. Like, it always has, but like, I think it's just always been subconscious. But now I just want to think about more how much this film is important, because it's just like there's so many times in life where like a lot of the forces are going to come around. It gets too serious. It gets too depressing. A lot too nihilistic. It's over. Well, it's a lot of the '90s was getting too nihilistic, and then this film just had to come around and give you a big old teddy bear hug in the sweetest way, and just be like, "Hey, man, like it's just not that intense, because." I mean, the real concern is just having to go to bed in a miserable mood every night at the end of the day. And the dude never does. That's what's so cool about him. He always keeps on keeping on. None of this stuff bothers him so bad that it has to spoil what he loves. And it's just endlessly entertaining watching this entire film unfold. Like, it is actually one of the most perfectly thought out screenplays ever made, literally, because the Coen brothers run a unique level of perfectionism, to a level where like they were strict about how these lines were delivered. Like, every single freaking end, and I do not operate this as right. I just kind of admire the Coen's perfection here. It's just like every line will be delivered like exactly how we want it. That they are like that when they're films, because it was extremely thought out. All the uhs and ums from the dude. And again, this is one of those films. It's a lot like a lot of noir stuff. Like it kind of feels like a follow-up in a lot of ways to what The Long Goodbye was doing in the 70s. But this is like a 90s end, where it's just like, literally, and that's another thing about it. It's set in the early 90s, when it feels like there was a lot of that dark nihilism moving over. So a lot of dark grunge was happening. It's just dark stuff, dark hip-hop, gloomy hip-hop was coming around. It's just, so I think that like we needed a film really bad to just kind of show that it's all good, even when things are kind of off around you. Like, this is kind of how it's all good, even if it all feels loser, even if it all feels lame-o, like it's still all right in the end, sometimes. Sometimes it feels loser and bum, because he doesn't ever let it get to him. You don't let the judgment of society bother you in that way. But I do think this is this is definitely increasingly revealing itself to be just perhaps the most Coen original film. I still would say No Country for Old Men's their best one, but this is no freaking close. I mean, it's the exact same quality, so it all comes down to the same thing. one of my favorite portrayals of all time in California. And it's just, again, kind of taking what it has in common with like a long. And The Inherent Vice is like another one. I feel like all these films just have like the plot doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but you're not even in it for the plot. You're just in it for literally for the atmosphere of character dynamics and literally just watching power dynamics. And I think just chill people who are just confused by chaos around them. They just have all these, like, they almost just reject it just by being way more relaxed than everything around them. So they look ridiculous for being uptight in the first place in any sort of way. But yeah, there's just something extremely individualistic about the dude. I mean, I know there's like an intense like religion built around. It's like I think this stuff's so subconscious that I'm like I feel like I resonate with everything about it, but it's almost like in itself, as the film The Master portrayed, it's too ridiculous to look up to a film I think that intensely. So I like to see it more as it's just a chill thing. It's like, yeah, honestly, that way I can say like, yeah, that's ideal, but. And I also could agree with the people I've talked to who are just like, yeah, you might want to like, I don't know, just like there's stuff like you can still live like that and be a decently functioning member of society, in a lot of ways. And that's where I always got to get a little better at being that, in itself. But, but still making money, having a job at least, it's like I couldn't seem to go broke. So the dude's always on the leg of it, but, but that's the thing. Yeah, this is just a perfect film. It just has perfect themes. I mean, all these characters are really good, really well thought out. And it's always a labyrinth getting lost into these scenarios as they play out. It is kind of just like brotherly time. And it feels like it's the best perspective of 90s slacker I've ever seen. Because, again, that's where a lot of stuff was getting too gloomy and dark. Too much nihilist, too much darkness about all this. And this film just had to come around and lighten everything up a little bit, which it did a lot of. It's just simplicity is key, just taking it easy, literally. Striving to have charm and charisma as opposed to just, anxiety and frustration. I know those moods exist. A lot of films are dark. Like a lot of Martin Scorsese films are dark, but I think Big Lebowski was out to kind of, be like a teddy bear for that level of darkness. For a man's perspective, because often this is just a lonely man. You can say this is like the happy lonely man, literally. That's like, yeah, there we go. Like, it feels ridiculous to be too intense if you start thinking about what this film is taking me through. And Walter is almost the portrayal who I strangely realized I've always felt like growing up, I can relate to you, but I feel like I can relate to Walter too, because he has a lot of there is a chaotic nature about him, in a lot of ways. I always feel like he's a little explosive, although he means well, but it can feel very over the top. It's just it's fun. It's easygoing. You can always get back and enjoy it, but it is like a kind of a grand perfect, because it is like the ultimate laugh. Let's laugh at the fact life's kind of it's all a big nothing. Oh, and another Philip Seymour Hoffman. It's great to see him in this same year as that dread, God forbid, I don't even talk about it, the film this happened. And as I already said, Happiness. The other dark, disturbing torment, the movie that forever tormented my soul. Big Lebowski came around and rejected everything vile that happened there, and just kind of taught me, hey man, like this film portrays it almost the same kind of like, it feels kind of lame, but it's all in good spirit here. It's portrayed where it's just hilarious and it's fun, but you still get the same themes across, basically, literally. So it's just next level genius. And that really, the Coen brothers are certainly some of the most original directors ever, because that's the mystique that they have that makes this as mystical as a film like 2001: A Space Odyssey. It literally is. I agree with that wholeheartedly, because it's mystical how a film can be this creatively different, but yet get a very universal foundation across, because it feels like an ultimate peacemaker film. Literally, this feels like one of the most peaceful films ever made, and it's out to just make anything absurd or over the top, too depressing, too dark, just feel a little ridiculous, because it all is a little ridiculous. So that's the thing. And I will also say this, as much as I love this film isn't for all the time. I think there are certain moods where this would be a little too loudly triumphant, because if you're really in the face of pain, it's like, yeah, this tone would feel a little aggravating, but this film is very important when those times pass. It's a little bit more of like you come to this one, those intense moods have passed, and you're feeling that melancholic shade. It's time to lighten up from that. Sometimes you can't help those, it's not to make fun of that. It's just sort of there for you when it's time to chill out. Because this is ultimately trying to just communicate the message of just, yeah, let's relax. It's one of the best acted films. I mean, all this acting is so genius, with Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, Julian Moore's character. Yeah, this is like one of the best just ever LA movies. This is what it is to be like the LA slacker personality. That's just, if you're a film director, you are kind of an LA slacker personality. So I have to embrace that. So that's why I can relate to a lot of this. I'm not really thinking of it like being a dudist exactly. It's just, okay, so being a film addict makes you kind of like, the dude's a good person to look up to if you're like that. There's a lot of great qualities about this man. He's ultimately always means, he's always friendly. I mean, he's always cool, and he's always wise. Like, he's never, I think he's a guy who could also fear almost seeming like he's dimwitted, but he never is. No, he's always wise. He's always smart in everything he says and does. He is cool, and that's what makes him awesome. And that's speaking of my own insecurities. No, it's like, no, not really. No, it's all, you're cool, man. Just like, don't ever forget it, basically. So yeah, every single character sticks in your head because it's all very subconscious. And that's like, oh, that's another thing. It also even does the same themes of the happiness, funny enough, with John Turturro's character. Literally, he's just as dark and vile, but literally the film teaches you how to brush off those kind of horrible things. It's just like, yeah, it just happens, man. Like, that's literally what Walter portrays. It's just like literally an 8-year-old's dude. Oh God, it's awful. I hate that shit so bad. Seriously. But I'm not getting too serious. Dear God, Big Lebowski's point is life is absurd and crazy and dark, tormented, but you don't have to be dark, crazy, weird, tormented. You can be freaking chill. And it's like a deep message living in the most fun, playful way that you don't even realize it's happening when you watch it. It just kind of lingers in your head in a certain way. And yeah, no, this film is that's why this film has gotten so popular in time. It's literally just because it is like an ideal way of modern living lives in this film. It's like, and I think it's perfect. It's perfect to like kind of have that like job, like you kind of just literally have that source of happiness for yourself, be able to build your source of happiness, but ultimately be able to live like this. Really, it's so important to go to bed feeling happy at night, as opposed to like just any sort of miserable. No more miserable. How about let's go to bed and smiles. If you feel miserable throughout the day from societal surroundings, of course, it's always going to come around. But Big Lebowski kind of shows how it doesn't have to always be that bad. It's just perfect. It doesn't have to be as bad as it happened in Fargo. Fargo went through some really tragic stuff, so I think the Big Lebowski was really out to relax all of this and just make it fun. It's all spooky. It's all a good time. Yeah, it's one of the best films of the 1990s, and it's one of the most iconic for a reason. Like, I think to me now, I'm like, it hits me even more maybe personal than Pulp Fiction, I think, as my older years, because as perfect as that film is, this is equally perfect to Pulp Fiction. So I think Pulp Fiction is like a very youthful exuberance of a similar kind of message in a way. But this is almost like a more timeless, like for an old man, elderly. This is more of an elderly, relates more to an elderly kind of perspective here. It's just a great outlook. It's very resonating. It's very timeless, and it should always be like this. It feels like in the end, it's just like, dude, yeah, always keep on. You have the ability to always keep on keeping on. Similar message even what Blue Velvet portrays. It's like a confidence of always being able to keep on keeping on, even when it seems like it's impossible at moments. You shouldn't let it corrupt you. The dude is the ultimate force of life. He doesn't let anything corrupt him. Like, he just kind of has that cartoon character outlook on life, which is what I had to acquire for my 30s, literally. It took me until I'm 30 years old to get to that. To go, okay, everything's a cartoon, basically. So, I mean, that's sort of what the outlook this film has. That kind of makes me relax in a lot of ways. It feels like, growing up on stuff like The Simpsons so much, I think I needed a film like this to kind of a real-life film to agree with me with a lot of similar ideas that The Simpsons does, which Big Lebowski most definitely does. It just seems like everything in the end of the day feels like it's a little too uptight. And it's just, there's always a need to reject that for the sake of the spirit of joy. And be able to spread joy to other people. It's important. You're your brothers, And yeah, it's just like, it's awesome. It's so relaxed. It's perfect. It's a perfect film. More I watch, that's the thing. It has a unique ability where the more you watch it, the more hilarious it is. Honestly, I didn't think it was that funny the first time I saw it. When I was 15, I didn't really get it the first time I saw it. I needed Fargo to crack into the Coen brothers, as well as I was watching a Brother Art at a pretty young age too, but I didn't really get that one either. So I needed a few, and Barton Fink. I think that one struck me instantly as a perfect film. I needed Fargo and Barton Fink to get me to the Coen. But then the Big Lebowski came back, and it's like, okay, now I get it. Okay, this is genius. So ever since then, it's just like an endless relationship with this film has happened. I just, feel like the older you get, the more it's just like, yeah, why wouldn't you want to live like this? It's like whenever things come around make you feel like you're pathetic and lame, like, dude, there's a way around it, and it's just like it's all how you look at it. It doesn't, because no one's talking to you, they're talking to what they see. And it has nothing to do with you, even if it feels like it has everything to do with you. A lot of the anxiety has nothing to do with you. The dude knows it, so he walks it, He's awesome. He's hilarious in how he handles a lot of dumb situations in the first place, but people are getting really uptight at him, asking him really threatening questions, and he's just always cool. It is pretty perfect, and it feels like it's an important modern film. I mean, anyone deserves to see this who can handle a lot of profanity in the film. That's the only thing it has that's not everybody. It's just like has like a message to me as like life affirming as It's a Wonderful Life, honestly. But all the same, like this, but this is more subtle. This is a better expression. But unfortunately though, it is a little profanity heavy. I mean, that doesn't bother me, but I feel like the message here is just so universal. So I want everyone to watch this film. So I'll recommend this if you're if you're of the age to see R-rated film, if you can handle R-rated film, then yeah, this is a perfect film that will make you feel quite delighted with insanity, literally. Finding the light side of insanity. It's crazy characters and they feel like cartoon characters are playing out, but the substance all lives in the fact that it's cartoonish because it kind of doesn't always feel real, a lot of times. It always feels like a little phony and unrealistic, but that's kind of just making me lighten up on that even. It's like you can still be friends, just because like that some of those feelings are there. It doesn't mean, you can't have a healthy and decent, perfectly decent friendship. Oh, it's perfect how Lebowski expresses all of this. It's downright hilarious. It is about one of the funniest films ever made. It does have a really subtle sense of humor. I think it's almost like literally hanging out with a bunch of brothers. It's just like how they all interact with each other. Like the way the quotes kind of just balance, the way they balance off each other, like just like power dynamics. Like, that's the thing. No one never knocks a dude down once in this whole film. Like no one can. Even that cop, like, he doesn't. He just gets up and keeps on, keeps on going. So, yeah, I recommend this film to anyone who's up for, a perfectly made R-rated film. Yeah, it is kind of the ultimate modern comedy classic for a good reason. And this is like, sometimes shows like this often enough come around. It's like, all right, really? But this actually deserves it. So this is one of the best ones. So, and it's hilarious. So I recommend this strongly if you're looking for a great, hilarious comedy that's unpredictable and always original.